Hello everyone, welcome to my second Sketchbook Tour, first with commentary. I'm Soraya, and I am a storyboard artist / revisionist that works in the animation industry, and I got my degree in illustration. Just to give you a bit of a background for myself, I guess. I've been drawing as long as I can remember, and I have a great love for sketchbooks, so I always love sharing mine, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's kind of my pandemic one. I started it in 2021 and just finished it up like 2 months ago, and I'm so glad to be done. It's one of my favorite ones, but I'm not a big fan of spiral sketchbooks. So to be done with this one and moving on to my next one already is pretty big. And I'm really excited to go through this with you guys, and I hope you enjoy. Let's get into it, shall we? So most of my sketchbooks have a tendency to be very jumpy, all over the place. And I think that's just a reflection of how my brain works. I can't settle on one project at a time. I have to be working on multiple, and certain things grab my hyperfixation, and it kind of manifests in the way I jump back and forth and through it. But I think the ones that are I guess the most consistent thing about this sketchbook was my mindset of I'm trying to get a job in animation. This sketchbook in particular, I wasn't working. I was walking dogs for my living, and I loved it. It gave me great opportunities to work on my artwork, so I could, prepare myself for working in animation. That was the end goal. It wasn't to just stay dog walking. So I was thumbnailing at any opportunity I could for whatever I was hyper focused on at the time. So I got really into Hades here, and in particular, this is embarrassing to say, but fan fiction caught my attention. And so I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I was able to just storyboard a scene from it? And I did the thumbnails, and I kind of like what I did. Knowing what I know now, I would probably go and change some things, but it's always fun. So I would do that a lot in this sketchbook, along with just character designing or environment exploration, which isn't my biggest strong suit. I mostly enjoy drawing characters and having them in situations because perspective is hard. And it just sometimes looks a little wonky, but but yeah, I really enjoyed jumping back and forth between things. And I was also at the point of, what if I did comic work instead of trying to get into animation? And so I was doing what would my comic style be? How would I panel things, and how would I lay out things? And so I was taking my little hyperfixations and just putting it towards that. It's kind of silly to say. But then I would always come back to be oh no, I need to work on my storyboard portfolio because I need one to get a job. And so I'd be here's some character designs, and then here's what scene I could do from this podcast. And then I never actually did it, and I was okay, back to my hyperfixations because it makes me happy. But I kind of enjoy that aspect of sketchbooks, where it's literally an artist's brain just thrown on paper. There doesn't have to be a rhyme or reason or these beautiful spreads that I see sometimes. Sometimes a bad drawing can just be a bad drawing, and you don't have to show anyone if you don't want to. I enjoy showing my bad drawings because I think that really I don't know, it kind of gives other people this, like, idea of not every single drawing has to be pretty, not every single sketchbook has to be absolutely beautiful. Granted, if you want to do that, that's totally fine. But for me, a sketchbook is really just exploration and having fun. So, like, I was designing characters here for a D&D campaign I was running. At the time, I was trying to figure out, like, what direction I wanted to take and how I could engage my players. And then I was like, oh, no, let me go back to storyboarding. let me think of this. I wanted to do a musical scene to have in my portfolio. Didn't end up happening, but, you know. And then I was doing, like, you know, different things. Some of these can also be, like, or are, not can, but are studies from other artists where I'm like, I really like how they do movement. I like how they're loose with their gestures, and just kind of exploring how they did it. But a lot of the time it's just me going, oh, this is something I'm obsessed with at the moment. Let me have fun in my sketchbook. And so yeah, just it's kind of a little chaotic, but I kind of love it. Like, I was obsessed with, I still am, I'm obsessed with, like, my D&D characters, and I will talk about them at length, but I'll go back and, like, draw them, or like this page on the left, I was thinking of doing a storyboard to White Winter Hymnal, which is, like, my favorite wintry song, and I had a really cool idea. I kind of want to revisit that at some point, but maybe later. But it's like, oh, let me start composing my pages a bit more, and then I gave up on that, and then, like, oh, back to storyboarding. I think in the end of the day, that's where my brain always is, which is good, because that's, you know, it's what I do, it's what I want to continue to pursue. But then I was like, oh, back on my comic idea and, like, D&D. There is, you can see the little cat girl that floats through my sketchbook is my favorite. She's absolutely adorable. But I'll draw her when I'm stuck. It's kind of silly. I was studying composition, so Pirates of the Caribbean. And then I was like, oh, I'm listening to Critical Role. Let me storyboard something from that. And I like the direction. I wish I had gone through with some of these. At the time, I didn't have confidence. And that just, it got better. I think I was stuck here in an art block. So my default cat girl, Catan is her name. And then there was some D&D drama going on, so I was like, oh, I could storyboard that. I had a lot of ideas, and I'm so sad I never got to it. But maybe sometime. This is, I think, right before I got my job working at Titmouse. It was, I think I was, again, trying to build an idea for kind of a romance comic that I wanted to do, and I was like, oh, shoot, I wanted the, like, drama of it to be this mutated bear, and I realized I didn't know how to draw bears, so I did some bear studies. That was really nice. And then I was also doing more, I think this is just, I was doing a side gig for a self-publishing, or a small publishing company for D&D content, and then I was really just hyper-focused between that and the story, and then I got my job offer, and which is really exciting, but I was like, oh shoot, I gotta start, like, really focusing on the stuff that I need to start, like, working on, like drawing faster and drawing with more confidence so I can be more prepared for this job. But that also had the consequence of, like, I got really stuck in an artist block around this time. So I was taking, like, little stickers and redrawing them just to kind of get me to just draw. And that was really helpful. It was really fun. But it got me back a bit. But it was still a rougher time. I remember just feeling like I had no creativity. And then I started working, and then I realized I'd been drawing in the style of the show and couldn't remember how I drew. So it was just, a lot of these sketches are just me trying to get back into drawing, or like back into other stories. So I was like, let's flesh out some stories that I had before. And I'm glad I did, because now I'm using them for, like, my actual portfolio. I have 2 storyboards I'm working on, and they'll be done for my portfolio soon. But it was good that I fleshed it out in my sketchbook first, so I knew, like, the kind of direction I wanted to go with them. Then this was Halloween last year, and we were talking about our animals' Halloween costume. It was great. And then I was still stuck in, like, this art block, trying to figure out just what the heck I wanted to draw. So it's kind of a mismatch of all that was, like, floating through my head. And then I think this is about where it turned around, where I was like, okay, no, I'm fine. And I think it's when I started getting more confidence in my job as well, and I just was able to really crack down. And then, of course, I tabled at a convention with my friend as well, and got to draw a lot there, and that helped. And granted, this still took, like, a long time. From, I think, this page until the very end was still, like, another almost, what was it, 10 months, because I was mostly drawing for work, and all my sketches were going into either my digital sketchbook, or, like, it was on the borders of my work. But I was still trying to push through. I was like, I've been working on this sketchbook for, like, 2 years. I want to finish it. So I started just doodling. Like, I was like, I'm really bad at environments, so let me start working on that. And just kind of working on doing more observational skills that I realized around this time that I severely lacked. So this page in particular is, like, I went to the Natural History Museum and did some drawing from the models there, and that was fun. And then I got really into Genshin Impact at the time. Still am. I still enjoy it. I just haven't played it as much recently. Baldur's Gate 3 is, like, the main thing. So that doesn't... I just started playing that, and so that's going to become, like, what my sketchbook is filled with, the next one. But, yeah, no, I actually really like these end pages. They were just fun. I wasn't trying to do anything. I'd gotten the job, so I wasn't as stressed, and I was just back to having fun. So, like, I really got into Tears of the Kingdom. This is when that game came out, and I was like, they introduced Ganondorf again, so I kind of got a little hyper-fixated on him, and then I've always loved Link, so there was a lot of those drawings, and then it was back to, like, I should work on doing composition studies, because that's something I really lack, so I always, like, dip my toes. These last few pages, we're coming up on the end, I actually took a class about sketching, and it was very informational, and it taught me a lot that I didn't learn in school. And I was just like, I have like 4 pages left. Let me just start doing these studies in my sketchbook so I can just wrap it up. And that actually helped. It got me through the last few pages. So you can see, like, I just really rushed the end. But it was good. And I did work backwards because the first few pages are actually my D&D notes from a campaign I'm a part of. But that's the end of the sketchbook, and I really hope you enjoyed. I don't know when I'll have another one. I'm thinking of maybe doing like draw with me, so let me know what you think. Let me know if you enjoyed this and if you enjoy more commentary, even if it's rambling. Thanks.